are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, and the Philadelphia Eagles are still Super Bowl champions. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Phillies are off to a 7-3 start, winning all three of their season series before visiting Atlanta and losing last night. The Flyers have won 3 of 4 under interim coach Brad Shaw. I guess the question comes, does a good finish make him the leader for the full-time head coach job? The Sixers, I told you I wasn't going to talk anymore about them. I guess I'm stuck. They've lost 15 of their last 16. They're miserable. It can't end soon enough, and somehow they're favorites tonight. How are they going to lose that game? The Eagles prep for the draft with a pile of picks in front of them. What position will it be? All kinds of Philly stuff. And we have to add that Alex Ovechkin is now the NHL all-time goal-scoring leader. And the UConn Huskies and Florida Gators are college basketball national champions. We have certainly plenty to talk about.
Well, Bill, certainly a solid start to the Phillies season, even though there was a tough loss Tuesday night. That one got away from them, unfortunately. 7-3 ain't bad. The Sixers, with just 2 games remaining after tonight, will almost certainly finish with the league's 5th worst record. And then we'll await the May 12th lottery balls with fingers crossed. And congrats to Ovi on his record-setting goal, and to UConn and Florida on winning those NCAA titles. And by the way, Ovi, even though he's 39, is nowhere near done the way he's playing.
No, absolutely. He's scoring like crazy. We'll get to that a little bit later. We'll talk some more about that. But hey, we have a great guest tonight, as former longtime Daily News and 97.5 radio guy Bob Cooney, making a return visit to Philly Press Box Radio to help us cover all things Philly sports.
Yeah, that we do. We liked reading Bob in the Daily News for all those years, and he was pretty darn good on the radio, too. So let's get it going, Bill.
Well, Bob, welcome back to Philly Press Box Radio.
Bill and Chet, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Bob, great to see you again. We had such a good time talking to you back in December that we said, we got to get this guy back. He is just so damn good. And I don't know if you know this because, you haven't been on the radio lately. I don't know if you've been paying attention to sports, but the Eagles won the Super Bowl back in early February.
I heard. Yeah, I heard. There was a big party in this house that night that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah,
but
spectacular.
Bob, in all seriousness, were you at all surprised at how good that team played over the final portion of the season, and particularly how they absolutely destroyed the Commanders and Chiefs those final 2 games?
Yeah, it was funny. I was on another podcast or whatever, and I said, this is a team that you have to take seriously. Like, that's how good I thought they were. Not that everybody thought the same thing, but that was like a really good football team. You guys know, when you're looking at a team, whether it's the Phillies, Flyers, Eagles, Sixers, whatever it is, in this day and age, as much as we want them to be great, we are always looking, and you guys know from all the guests you've had through the years, you're always looking for the things that might not be good, that might not be great. This Eagles team, it was hard to find it, right? You couldn't go to the defense and find, okay, what's bad about that? Not a lot. Like, they did everything well. You look to the offense, which is probably the stronger side of the ball, you would have thought, and there's not a lot wrong going there, right? So it was really hard, in my opinion, to find something that other teams could manipulate, that other teams could, take advantage of. Every game in the way I look at games, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, I always look for a team that can exploit something of the other team for them. There wasn't much on this Eagles team, guys, that I could see other teams exploiting that the Eagles didn't do well, because I thought the Eagles just did everything well, and it wound up, winning the ultimate championship.
Yeah, you're right. And I think a lot of people thought that meltdown might come from Nick Sirianni. And it didn't. And I think still the Philly fan base still seems questionable about Sirianni. They want to credit the coordinators, not Sirianni. And I think he is not getting near the due that he deserves for what happened to this team.
You know, there's something to be said for that. You're exactly right. And you know, I covered basketball for years, and you go through 82 games of basketball, which is a lot different than 16 games of football. But there has to be a stability somewhere. Whether things are going well, when things go bad, how do they turn back to go well? Nick Sirianni, I think, is a great commander of keeping things going well. Look, you're right, Bill. Like good coordinators aren't good coordinators unless they have a really good head coach. A head coach isn't really good unless he has good coordinators. That's a process. That is something that they have to work on together. And if one of them is out of kilt, then it's not all going to work. So as much as maybe people want to praise coordinators, it still has to go back to the head coach, that his ability to allow them to do what they want to do the way they want to do it. Nick Sirianni deserves a ton of credit for that.
Indeed. Hey, the draft is coming up. And as you know, the Eagles lost a lot of players in free agency last month, early this month. What do you see them doing in the draft? Not necessarily a particular player, but maybe what position, whether they stay at 32 or try to move up.
I really think that, Chet, that they're going to move up. I think they're going to use – they have so many assets over the next 2 years, 20 draft picks or whatever it is. I think they'll use that to probably move up a little bit. Maybe get the safety from Georgia that everybody is looking at for, you know – actually, Baltimore is pinned to get this safety from Georgia and putting him with the kid that they have back there now, Hamilton. But I think that the Eagles will move up. I think they'll do a position of need. I mean, they just won a Super Bowl. What needs are there? I think safety is a need. I think, you know, defensive line is the way. Defensive and offensive line, obviously, is how Howie Roseman goes all the time. So they're going to hit on those too. But if they move up, in my book, I think Malachi, I forget his last name, Malachi is the guy from Georgia that I think that they'll go after to plug in that safety spot. Although I like the people that they have here now that haven't played all that much. The Sidney Browns and all that. I think they have some people there that they can plug and play, maybe. So in Howie we trust, right, guys? I think that's the way it's going to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, twofold question here for you. One, obviously, want to hear what you think about the Saquon Barkley impact. But secondly, we know that the NFL is a copycat league. Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, did they put the running back position back on the map? And are we going to see movement across the league in the running back position, do you think?
Great question. Great question, because you can do that, right? Copycat league isn't just football. It's every sport across the board. And when I'm covering the NBA and Steph Curry comes into the league and Golden State does what they do, and people are like, oh, that's what we got to do. We got to get shooting guards. Okay, sorry, but you had Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, who are probably the two best shooters in the history of the NBA. Yet, NBA teams wanted to copycat that. You can't. Let's not be stupid. You can't do that because those are two of the greatest shooters. Oh, and by the way, they had Kevin Durant on that team to win some championships too. So building a team with running backs now, Bill, like you're talking about, yeah, I think it's something that a copycat league has to look at. Why not? But that is so, it's a building thing. You have to have the offensive line. You have to have receiver threats that'll allow you to run the football because, if you don't have that threat of throwing the ball, obviously you can't run the ball. So, it's a great point, Bill. And copycat is, what it is. But can you copycat, much like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, can you copycat Saquon Barkley and those type of running backs that are just head and shoulders above everybody else? I don't know.
Well, Bob, we could talk lots more football, but I know that you have loved covering basketball for all these years. You covered the Big Five for a couple of decades, I believe. You covered the Sixers for a bit. But now the city's college teams are not really a factor nationally. And the 76ers, of course, have become pretty much a laughing stock. What the hell's going on with basketball in Philadelphia, Bob?
Not a lot of fun right now, is it? You hit on the Big Five. It's such a shame. And the Big Six, but the Big Five lost what you lose Fran Dunphy. Neptune is gone from Villanova. There's some Stevie Donahue gets fired from Penn. You lose 3 of your Big Five coaches. That shows where it is right now, and it's a shame because you guys know as well as I do when the tournament came about, we would all sit there and go, how many Big Five teams are going to make it? I think we're 2 years in a row that none of them have made it.
Right.
And it's a shame. And bringing in Franny McCaffrey, that's going to be fun. I mean, we'll see what happens there as far as Penn goes and all. But Big Five, it's a shame. Hopefully they can get themselves righted again. But NIL, as you guys know, man, it's I don't want to name names, but I've talked to some of the local Big Five coaches through the years. And I would leave talking to them in their offices and be like, wow, this is really hurting them. And it's a shame. And it's I don't know, mid-majors like a St. Joe's, a LaSalle, those guys. How can you compete with this? I don't know how you can. As far as the Sixers go, I guess I'll watch a game maybe next year. I got to be honest with you guys, and you guys know, I covered the team for 10 years. Haven't watched the game in over a month. I covered the process, and I don't like bad basketball. I don't want to watch pieces trying to figure out what they're going to be in the NBA. I just don't. So I really haven't watched much Sixers. No, I'm lying to you guys. I haven't watched any Sixers over the last month and a half.
Well, Bob, through the process that you mentioned, and there was a small, decent run there, and now they're embarrassing. Have they lost this fan base? Is it possible to get this fan base back after especially what's going on this year, losing 15 out of 16, which appears to be on purpose?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, Bill, but like, okay, the Phillies have had great run for the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
All we hear on sports talk radio, probably on people on your show is, I'll look at them when it comes October. Really? Like, that's what you do? That's a team that's doing really well and people are turned off because they haven't won a championship. Will people come back to the Sixers? Yeah, if they get good again, I'm sure they will. And you have your diehards. We all know that people that just won't give up on them. But the fickleness of fans now is something that makes me laugh. And I talk to people about this all the time. Oh, I'm not going to watch the Phillies until, like I said, until October, because what difference does it make if they have a great regular season like they did last year? Because if it doesn't come to a championship, what difference does it make? To me, I laugh at that. Like, are you kidding me? What if a guy on the Phillies this year goes for 60 home runs and 130 RBIs, has one of these spectacular seasons, and you missed it because you're waiting for playoff baseball? No, sports is such an entity where I think that it's so much fun to watch because of what might happen. You never know. If somebody would have told you Duke's going to be up 10 points with 2 minutes to go in a game in a national semifinal, do you think they're going to lose that game? Everybody say, oh, no way. Duke's not going to lose that. Guess what? They did. And if you thought they weren't going to and you said, no, I'm not going to watch because that's going to happen, you missed it. That's why I love sports. You never, ever know what's going to happen. And I'll hold on to that till the day I die.
Well, Bob, we haven't seen these guys on the court together in nearly 2 months, I believe. Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, the so-called big three. They weren't so big this season. Embiid, I guess, getting surgery any day now, and they'll give us an update in 6 weeks. And then who knows if he'll be anywhere close to 100%, come this fall. Can they possibly run it back with this same core group next year? What's going to happen here?
I guess that's what they're going to do, right? So look at what's going on in the last, say, 2 months. Although Maxey played a little bit, George played a little bit. So what do you do when your big three are out? You look for pieces that would be conducive to having around those big three, right, guys?
Yeah.
Like you're looking, you have those guys. Yabusele's a guy that okay, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
That's a guy that you're gonna, keep on the team and build with. Do you look at all the other guys that they've brought in and say, okay, these are guys that we can fill in with the big three?
Quentin Grimes.
Grimes, absolutely. Walker, he's another guy that you're probably looking at. It stinks that you're looking at that. It stinks that you're looking and saying, okay, what pieces can we surround these guys with? But you don't know if you're surrounding them because you don't know if they're going to be healthy. Maxey put aside. Paul George obviously has had health issues. Embiid, we know what he is. I don't know. Like, this is the big question this offseason for the Sixers. Are you looking for pieces to build around Embiid and company, or has it come to the point that we need to build around somebody else? And I'm talking like I'm the 76ers. I don't call teams we. I don't know where they are right now. I really don't. And this is the biggest question that Daryl Morey and company have to answer this offseason.
Hey, Bob, I wanted to circle back to the Big Five for just a second, City Six, whatever we want to call them. With the whole NIL thing and all that, other than Villanova, do these local schools have what it takes, alumni-wise, fundraising-wise, to ever be relevant on a high level?
It's tough. It's really tough. I walked into one of the coach's office a couple summers ago, right when NIL was starting and all that. And I asked him, how's the team going? Whatever. It was just a casual meeting. I had a niece that was going to school there. And he said, yeah, it's not good. He said to me, I had a good recruit coming in. I just lost him over $5,000 to another school. And what's going on here? Can LaSalle, can St. Joe's, can, any of those schools, can they compete with somebody who just says, you know what, that's a nice piece, let's bring him over here for $10,000 more? No, they can't. Jay Wright I did a story on Josh Hart years back when he was looking to enter the NBA draft, and the Daily News at the time asked me to do a story talking to scouts in the NBA, talking to Jay Wright. So I sat with Jay Wright for 5 days and watched practices and games and sat in Jay's office and stuff. And I asked Jay, I said, how'd you get so successful? What is your mindset in doing this? He said, I'm not a one and done coach. I'm not going to get kids at Villanova that are one and done players. I'm looking at the players that are 3 or 4 and done players that I think can be in the NBA, but not until they play 3 or 4 years of college. And it was a genius move by Jay. And he did all that with the Brunsons and the Harts and all those DiVincenzo's, all those guys. So what would you be your model now? You can't build, because if you build a guy, say a Jalen Brunson or a Brunson that comes in, plays a year, plays really well, and then somebody offers him more money, he's gone. Right. So it's so tricky, and it's so, in my opinion, guys, bad. I don't like it.
And that's why Jay's announcing now and not coaching. I think that's pretty clear.
I have another story on that, but I'll save that between Jay and myself. But I agree with you, Bill. It is such a tough job to coach anymore, and I wonder how much fun these guys are having coaching as opposed to years past when they were just recruiting, keeping guys, and playing basketball. It's just not that anymore.
Bob, I want to get back to the Sixers briefly. As I said, with the season winding down, they're pretty much locked into the 5th worst team in the NBA record-wise, which doesn't guarantee them that they'll get, a 4th or 5th or 6th pick, because it's going to depend on the lottery balls. Right. How important is May 12th, lottery day, to the Sixers' future?
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, what are you getting at that pick? Even if they hold on to it, I don't know. What do they need? You guys know as well as I, what do they need? Where are they going? It goes back to what I said to you. Are you building around Joel Embiid? Are you building around Tyrese Maxey, which I don't think – I love Tyrese Maxey as a player, but I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. You can't build an NBA team around a 6'2" guard. You can't. It doesn't work unless his name is Steph Curry or something like that. And as much as I love Tyrese Maxey, you're not building around that. So, okay, you get that pick in the draft. Is that somebody that you're bringing in? To me, in my years of experience, you get a 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, pick Is that somebody you're building around, or is that a piece? To me, that's a piece. And you've been playing pieces, if you're the 76ers, for the last couple of months to figure these things out. So I don't know. Do you use it as a bargaining chip to trade? Do you move on from Embiid? Like I don't. This is 1 year that I can't say I think they should do this, because I just don't know. I don't know what the Sixers should do, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, I just read something in the last day or two. They were talking about Cooper Flagg, who I guess it looks like he's the number 1 overall pick. But he's also a year out of high school early. So he's only still like 18 years old. And with NIL, I don't know how much money he's making, but he's making a substantial amount of money at Duke. He lives in a dorm with his best friend, and he's living his best life. And the Flagg family is putting out that he might stay at Duke. Is there just too much money in the NBA that's not possible, or is there enough money at Duke to make it possible?
It's funny. My wife and I just had this conversation the other night, and she was rightfully so. She said to me, she goes, "Why wouldn't he go to the NBA?" Or no, I'm sorry. She said, "Why wouldn't he stay at Duke? It's such a good, thing to do, and it's a great place." And I said, well, there's this thing called a knee. And if you go up, to shoot a layup and your knee gives out on you, then you see millions of dollars just fly away, maybe, if it's a devastating injury or whatever. Jahlil Okafor, he came to the Sixers when I was covering them. And Jahlil and I, we got a great relationship together. Unequivocally, his biggest regret in life, he told me, was that he didn't stay at Duke. He came out because he had to, his family, there were some things, his mother died young, all those things. But I mean, we talked about it all the time. He said, if I could do anything over again, it would be to stay at Duke for 4 years. Now with the NIL, as you said, Bill, does it afford these guys to want to stay at school and stay at school? We're talking, $1 million or so, as opposed to millions if you're Cooper Flagg. I don't know. It's an individual decision, but it's something that you sit down. The biggest topic of that, probably, and you guys might agree, is injury. If he stays at Duke and God forbid something happens and he goes from being the absolute number 1 to, he's got that injury and falls to number 10, you're talking millions of dollars. I would love kids to do what they want to do, and you just don't know. I'll tell you a quick story. A great point was I was covering a Final Four 1 year, and John Calipari was coaching Memphis, I believe. And somebody asked him, like, John, you always have these kids come in, they play one and done, and, is that good for college basketball? And Calipari told this story. He said, well, let me ask you something. If your kid's a biology major coming out of high school, and I say, come to my school, I have the best biology teacher ever, and you take 1 year with this guy, and your son is going to make daughter is going to make $6 million a year after they take one biology class. Would you not send them to that school? And that's what he was talking about. Bring them to me, whatever school it may be. If it's Calipari, somebody else, at Duke or whoever. If they're going to make $6 million a year, that's kind of tough to say, no, stay in school and have fun. I don't know. It's a great discussion.
Last thing, Bob, 30 seconds. Phillies, they're 7-3. We know what happened last season and the season before that. They have a great starting rotation, some question marks. Otherwise, how you feeling about the 2025 Phillies?
I love the team. I really do. I love the team. I love their starting pitching, Taijuan Walker excluded, but that'll be taken care of. I do. I think it's a team that's going to compete just like they have in the years past. And I'm not looking at October. I'm looking at right now, and I love watching them, and I can't wait to watch them tonight.
There you go.
Very good. Bob, anything you need to tell us you got going on? People follow you? You doing any freelance stuff, social media, Twitter, that sort of thing?
I will say this, Bill. Not that there's many fans of mine, but if there is one or two out there,
well, two of us, me and Chet.
Yes,
I'm a fan.
So I appreciate that. Stay tuned. Within the next couple of weeks, I will have something going on that people can grab onto.
Awesome.
There you go. Good tease. Bob, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Let's do it again.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, Bob. Thank you. All right, Chet. As you probably know by now, Philly Press Box Radio is part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal, Phil Stiefel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep. Philly Press Box Radio is there in addition to on our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network, setting the trends for what sports talk should be. Hey, Chet, it's getting to be deep spring, even though it's cold up there, I guess, today or whatever. What's going on over the Irish Rover Station House as we get ready to plunge into the summer?
Well, it is kind of cold up here, actually. Yeah, like we went down to the freezing mark overnight a couple of nights recently, which is not good. But very, very soon it will warm up, I promise you. And that means we can hang out on the outdoor patio at the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne. You know by now that the Rover always has 24 beers on tap, served up by the Rover's terrific bartenders, and a full menu of delicious food choices. Weekly staples include, well, Tuesday, a meatloaf dinner for under $12, really. Wednesdays, not only trivia night, but a night you can get a prime rib dinner for $19.95 and the Rover's signature martini for $5. How about that? What else? Let's see. Dinner specials most nights, Thursday through Sunday for sure. Killer Burger Thursdays, a couple to choose from. Also on Thursday at night, $9 wings and a $5 giant Stella pour. Happy hour deals Monday through Friday. Music Saturday nights. DJ PJ is there this weekend. And Sunday, they have a $5 Sunday Fun Day menu. And coming up real soon, April 26th, there's another paint and sip event at the Rover, which pretty much always sells out. So get your tickets now. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne and on the web at irishroverstationhouse.com. Merrill, take it away.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Press Box Radio. It's good!
Hey, Chet, while we have a free second before we start talking a little bit Flyers, I just have to ask you, this little website we use here to do our shows, did they do some changes on us while we were gone? Because, the banner that we run across the bottom, it is not here. And it looks like in the comments that I can see, it says that only your friends can make comments on what I can see. Huh. I don't know if they've made some changes to us, but we're not ignoring anybody, and we always have our scroll because somebody's going to ask where that is. I have no idea. It's not here.
I don't know, but I have been posting some of the comments, but as far as the banner, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if there's other comments besides the ones I can see. I see the ones you're posting, and I can see them too, but something ain't right. We'll fix it, by the way.
I can't keep up with technology. I just can't.
Me neither. And speaking of that, the Flyers, they've won 3 of 4 heading into the Rangers game tonight. And I have to ask, is this just a shot of adrenaline due to the change behind the bench? Or did this make interim coach Brad Shaw a leader in the clubhouse to become the next head coach? What say you?
I think it's mostly adrenaline and the fact that they played a couple of bad teams right after the coaching change.
Well, they're bad too, though, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys, though, were happy that Torts was gone, and then they were playing some teams that weren't that great, and they said, let's go out and show the new coach we can play, and they did that. And then even in the game they lost, they hung in there and played tough. Tonight's a big test because the Rangers are, clearly a better team than the Flyers. So we'll see. Check out these coaching candidates, though. Brad Shaw, of course, the interim coach, he has said he would love to get the job full-time, so he will be considered. You have Ian LaPerriere, the Phantoms coach the last few years. I know they're very interested also in David Carl, who's at the University of Denver. He's won a couple of national championships over the last 3 or 4 years there. Also was with Team USA. maybe Rick Tocchet will come back. His contract is up. We don't know if he's going to stay in Vancouver or not. A couple other names on there as well, including Hershey Bears coach Todd Nelson. So any of those names appeal to you, Bill?
Well, it's funny. I saw with Tocchet something that came out of Vancouver that we're tired of hearing about Tocchet going to the Flyers. Whether it's from the organization or the fan base or whatever, they're tired of hearing it. I guess if it's going to happen, let it happen. But they're done talking about it. So Lappy's done his time, as a bench coach with the Flyers and with the Phantoms. So I think he's a pretty solid candidate as well. I guess the big thing comes back to you're always hiring within the organization, and that hasn't seemed to gotten them over the top. So will Keith Jones and Danny Briere go that way? We'll find out soon.
Yeah, just a few games left. So, hopefully they'll make a decision very soon after the season ends, and we'll know who's going to be coaching the Flyers for the next year or 2 or 3 anyway. Hey, we mentioned the Flyers and Rangers playing tonight, and living where I do in New Jersey, I get to see not only the Philadelphia channels, but the New York channels as well. And the New York Rangers for the last 40 years, I guess, have had Sam Rosen calling the games. He's retiring this year. And for 20 years or 21 years, his radio partner was the former goaltender, John Davidson. Well, the game tonight is on TNT, and they have Sam Rosen and John Davidson together one final time calling that Flyers game. So don't go there now, folks. Wait till our show's done. But after the show, maybe if you have TNT, turn that game on. You can hear Sam Rosen and John Davidson, a couple of great New York announcers for a lot of years.
They're both excellent. And take the New York part out of it, because the heck with that. But they both used to do national broadcasts too, and they're really good. They're really good broadcasters.
Sam Rosen's been doing that job for 40 or 41 years, and he's finally calling it a career after this season.
Well, he's been calling national games for, it seems like, that long too, way back in the day.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, hey, staying with the NHL, how about Ovi, Alexander Ovechkin, breaking the all-time goal-scoring record of the great one, Wayne Gretzky? And Chet, what a coincidence that Ovi scored 895 goals in 1,487 games. In the same 1,487 games, Gretzky scored one less. It basically took them exactly the same amount of games to break that record. How's that happen?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And, I saw some pictures of Ovechkin and Gretzky together when Ovi came into the league, and then again last week, because Gretzky did follow him around the last couple of games, which was very nice. I think I have a picture of those guys together also. Yeah, there they are. So he's a little gray now, Ovi, but man, 39 years old, and he's already over 40 goals again this season at his age. So as I said at the top of the show, he's probably going to stick around for a few more years and probably hit 1,000 goals, which, obviously has never been done by anybody.
Boy, that'd be tough to be over 40 and still be pumping in 40 goals. That'd be a tough go. And for all those people that I shouldn't say all of them, some of them that want to shed some shade on Ovi breaking the record, don't fret. Wayne Gretzky, if you took away all of his goals, is still the all-time leading scorer in NHL history. So,
there it is.
You just happen to have that.
I just happen to have that. Yeah. In fact, if you go by total points, Ovechkin is only number 11 in the league in career points with 1,619. As you said, Wayne Gretzky, you take away those nearly 900 goals, and he would still have some 1,900 plus points and be the leader. So, yeah, nobody's going to catch Gretzky, certainly not in our lifetime, and probably never, Bill, because we ain't going to live that long.
No, and interesting, that graphic, I haven't seen this graphic before, that Ovechkin is the only one in the top 12 with more goals than assists. Interesting.
Yeah.
He's a sniper, and he's a good one.
That he is, Bill.
All right. Did I catch you drinking a beer?
You may have. Tonight's beer, Bill, is a Sam Adams OVP. Speaking of Ovi, OVP stands for Oaked Vanilla Porter. So another Sam Adams from the variety pack that I got back in the winter. Yeah, Oaked Vanilla Porter. Pretty tasty.
Well, I'm glad just to clear this up. We got to talk about this for just a minute, just to clear this up.
We got time.
I'm glad that you said that it was in a variety pack, because the first thing when you put that can up there, I'm thinking, What would make you go down the beer aisle and say, I want that one?
Yeah, no, it was their winter variety pack. So there was like a winter lager, a holiday ale, this baked vanilla porter, and some other like festive brew of some sort. So it was a 12 pack with 3 of each variety. And I believe this is the 12th and final can, Bill. So it's the end of winter because it is going to warm up, as I said. So yeah, the end of winter.
I wonder when you get that, do you get to a couple of them like that and just say, nah, I'd rather just throw this down the sink?
Yeah, sometimes when you get a variety pack, one of the varieties is not going to be very good, and you think, oh, crap, I got 3 of these. I can't drink these other 2. So you give them to a friend who say, hey, you might like these.
There you go. Hey.
One other hockey thing before we go, Bill. I guess you saw the news that Ray Shero has passed. Ray Shero, of course, the son of Fred, the former Flyers and Rangers coach, won those 2 Stanley Cups with the Flyers. But yeah, Ray was a pretty good GM in his own right with both the Penguins, where he won a cup, and the New Jersey Devils. Most recently, he was working, I believe, as a scout or a senior advisor with the Minnesota Wild, but just 62 years old. So Ray Shero, by all accounts, a great human being. So very sorry to announce that.
What did they say? What he died from?
I did not see that mentioned.
62 is getting younger every day, Chet.
Yeah. 62, man, younger than us, and that's not good to see, Bill.
Rest easy, Ray. All right, Chet. What could be better than a summer of Phillies baseball and tailgating with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia? Bob Cavanaugh and the gang of Cavs Philly tailgates.
Yeah, you're right about that, Bill. Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for some 35 years. You know them primarily for their tailgate parties, but Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cav also does corporate events, parties, you name it. Of course, Cav hosts tailgates before all Eagles games outside the link, and there will be various tailgates outside Citizens Bank Park this summer as well. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got one before the Phillies Mets game coming up in June. That's Saturday, June 21st. That's going to be a good one. And a lot of Mets fans in town, but they're not invited to Cavs tailgate. No way. Get the details on all upcoming events at Cavs website, phillytailgates.com. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go.
Did I hear a bell?
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll do the bell later. I do have a random check.
There is a bell? I thought I heard something. Okay. Hey.
I got to find the bell before I can ring it. There we go. But no, I'm not ready for that. Later.
Okay. I thought I heard one. Okay. March Madness tournaments seem to lack some juice this year, Chet, as far as upsets. But the men's Final Four certainly didn't disappoint. As we talked about, Duke losing there at the end. Florida with a couple great comebacks. They are the men's national champion. And then the UConn Huskies with Philly's own Gino Auriemma winning his 12th national championship, beating Philly's own Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Good, entertaining basketball when it got down to the finals.
Yeah, how about that matchup on Sunday, pitting a couple of Philly area legendary coaches against one another? Dawn Staley had coached South Carolina to 2 of the previous 3 women's titles, while Auriemma, who grew up in Norristown and graduated from Westchester University, was seeking title number 12 at UConn in his 40 years as coach, though he hadn't won one since 2016. In the end, it was a blowout win. I actually watched most of that game. Not very competitive and kind of surprising that UConn won it so easily. But, Dawn Staley will have her team back in the Final Four at the very least again next year. And on the men's side, Bill, quite a final with Florida trailing virtually the entire game against Houston. I believe they actually led for something like 1 minute and 4 seconds in total. But they did lead when it counted most at the end of the game, of course. Houston unable to get off a shot in their final possession, allowing the Gators to win their 3rd title in their history and the first under 39-year-old Todd Golden. So pretty good game Monday night. Congrats to those Gators.
Yeah, obviously down here, the people were very excited about that. And I didn't know this and I didn't verify it, Chet, but I'm told that the University of Florida is now the first university to ever win 3 NCAA football national championships and 3 NCAA basketball national championships.
Really?
That's what I have read. I did not confirm that to be true, but probably is when you think about it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what overall? I don't know how much of the tournament you watched, but I kind of thought it lacked a little juice, and I think we could probably talk to Bob Cooney about this all day with the NIL because a lot of it has come out that those mid-majors, those 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 seeds are not upsetting those other teams anymore. They don't have the players, and then if they do have a good player or two, they're getting taken by the big boys being given more money. That the tournament, and I thought that as I was watching it, and I think it more now, except when it came down to the final, like 8 teams, they were good games.
Yeah, it went pretty much chalk this year, and as we said, it was all number ones in the Final Four. But hey, not every year you're going to have those big upsets and somebody who's an 11th or 12th seed making it to the Elite 8 or whatever. Still, all in all, pretty good tournament and a lot of good basketball along the way. But yeah, it didn't have the juice as some past years did. But in the end, it was a very good final Monday night. And I hate to admit this. I told my pal Denny Saturday night. I admit it. When Duke, which had struggled off and on in the second half, hit a 3 Cooper flag with about 3.5 minutes left to go back up by 9. I was really tired. I said, yeah, I'm going to just give up and go to sleep. I turned it off, of course, woke up to the news that, Duke lost.
Wow. How about that? Well, good tournament. Basketball is over. Almost time to get back to spring football here soon. Some people not having spring football games. That's interesting, too. We'll talk a little more about that as we go. And the reason being is they don't want to show what they have because people are going to steal their players. It's just total insanity.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, hey, great guest tonight in Bob Cooney, Chet. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
Well, Bill, we are going to have a fun show thanks to a return visit from a legendary Philadelphia Flyer from the Broad Street Bullies era. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was honored at the Wells Fargo Center because he is officially retiring from his work as a team ambassador. I'm talking about the Hound, the great Bob Kelly, who always has some great stories from the mid-1970s Cup teams and whatnot. Of course, we'll reflect on the fact that it was 50 years ago next month that Hound scored the deciding goal in Game 6 of the Cup Finals against the Sabres. So that'll be fun. Always great to visit with Bob Hound Kelly, and we're going to do just that.
Tremendous ambassador to the Flyers and the hockey in the Philadelphia area. What a great guy, and what a tremendous career.
Yeah, for sure. I hit him up a couple of weeks ago about this particular date, not even realizing the Flyers were honoring him, I guess, 2 Saturdays ago. But he said he's glad to do it. And we're gonna show that goal again that he scored against the Sabres. I'm gonna have some comments from him that I recorded at the Philadelphia Sports Writers Banquet, which I think you'll find interesting. So it's gonna be fun. People are clamoring for Random Chet, Bill. So
they are. Let's do it. I need a nap.
Thanks, Joe. All right, let's do it. It's another music one. I was feeling kind of lazy this week. I said, I don't feel like doing a Random Chet just yet because we had one last week, but then I saw we only had one guest and we probably could squeeze it in. So I think you'll enjoy this one, Bill. Here we go. So last month I did a fun piece about albums released in the year 1975. 50 years ago. And that was really quite a year for rock albums, with my personal favorites, including the likes of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, Springsteen's Born to Run, Queen's A Night at the Opera, and Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic. Quite a top 4, huh? Well, this time around, I'm going to reflect on rock LPs that made a big impression on me 10 years later, 1985. Hard to believe 85 is 40 years ago, but time flies, right? Well, maybe I'm biased, having been a teen in 1975, but 85 did not give us the quality rock and roll that we got 10 years earlier, in my view. Heck, the top singles for 1985 were Wham's Careless Whisper and Madonna's Like a Virgin, both of which, by the way, actually were released in the second half of 1984. All right, I'm going to give you my personal top 10 favorite albums of 1985 in just a bit. But first, I'll mention that year also brought us We Are the World and Live Aid, and popular LPs like Prince's Around the World in a Day, Sting's Dream of the Blue Turtles, AC/DC's Fly on the Wall, Motley Crue's Theater of Pain, ZZ Top's Afterburner, U2's Wide Awake in America EP, Bad among the songs on there, and soundtracks from the movies St. Elmo's Fire and The Breakfast Club. Oh, yeah, Whitney Houston, by the way, she released her first album ever in 1985, and yes, I do own it. All right, let's get to the handful of 1985 albums that I liked a lot but didn't quite crack my top 10. Let's give all these honorable mention status, okay? Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' Southern Accents, first of all, which featured Don't Come Around Here No More and Rebels. How about Tears for Fears, songs from the big chair with the big hits, Head Over Heels, Shout, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Rush's Power Windows. To be honest, I liked Rush's earlier stuff a little better than that one. The debut album from The Firm, Jimmy Page and Paul Rodgers. And Robert Palmer's Riptide with the massive hit and memorable video, Addicted to Love. All right, my personal top 10 favorite albums released in 1985. Number 10 is a classic by a guy who was huge throughout the 1980s, the great Phil Collins, and his No Jacket Required LP featuring One More Night and Su Su Studio. Ninth on the list, then a gem from INXS, Listen Like Thieves, with that great title song and the terrific What You Need. In the eighth spot, maybe a bit of a surprise, a self-titled album from Heart, which included the hits Never, These Dreams, and What About Love? Man, Ann Wilson could sing. At number 7 on my list of favorites from 1985, the album Little Creatures by Talking Heads, with great songs like Road to Nowhere, Stay Up Late, and She Was. Number 6, then, an album that has great tunes like She's Waiting and Forever Man, Eric Clapton's Behind the Sun. All right, ready for my top 5? Here we go. In the 5th spot, a double live album released very late in the year by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's this one, Pack Up the Plantation, featuring concert versions of early hits like The Waiting, plus covers, including The Byrds' So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star and The Searchers' Needles and Pins. Number 4, then, a great solo album by former CCR frontman John Fogerty, Center Field, with that terrific title tune that you still hear quite often all these years later, plus The Old Man Down the Road and Rock and Roll Girls. My third favorite album of 1985, yeah, this one by the great Philly band The Hooters, Nervous Night, their major label debut with a new version of All You Zombies, plus the big hits And We Danced and Day by Day. So good. Number 2, John Mellencamp's terrific LP, Scarecrow. Oh, he was actually still John Cougar Mellencamp at the time, but yeah, Scarecrow featuring Rain on the Scarecrow, Lonely All Night, and the big hit, Small Town. ROCK in the USA on there as well. And my absolute favorite album of 1985, which also happened to be the best-selling album that year, Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms, with the massive hit Money for Nothing and other great tunes like Walk of Life and So Far Away. Album sales of Brothers in Arms, well, over 30 million units. Wow. Okay, here is a closer look at my list of favorites from 1985. No, not as good as the year 1975 or even 1984, to be honest, but hey, not bad. And if you are a fan of music, movies, and other fun stuff, be sure to subscribe to my Random Chet YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and go enjoy some music.
There you go. I'm glad you
right.
had a lot of free time just to throw that together. That's pretty good.
I literally wrote it last night between 11 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. And then I recorded it this morning. So
how's that
pays to be
retirement life
retired.
working for you?
What's that?
How's that retirement life working for you? You got all them extra hours.
I love the free time, man. It's awesome. What else we talking about tonight, Bill? I got a couple things.
Go ahead. Hit me with something. I got
The
a couple
Masters.
too, but go ahead. Yeah.
The Masters begin tomorrow. We rarely talk about golf, but a lot of interest, of course, because it's one of the majors. It's Masters. It's Augusta. Scotty Scheffler, the defending champion. A lot of people think Rory McIlroy will win this year. Maybe John Rahm. I'm picking Brooks Koepka. Why? I don't know.
He can play. I'm going to go with Rory this year. I think Rory's due to break out and win that Masters. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Do you follow it? Do you watch the Masters when it's on at all?
I may turn it on for a bit here and there, but I'm not a diehard. No.
Okay. Hey, I want to just throw this in here. Taijuan Walker has made it through 2 innings. It's nothing. One hit, 3 Ks so far for Taijuan. He did hit a batter there, but nothing after 2.
Yeah. I just checked. I saw it was nothing in the bottom of the second. So go Phils. Maybe Taijuan Walker is actually turning things around. 8 scoreless innings so far this season for Taijuan.
Yeah, wouldn't it be something? We switched gears awful quick there. Wouldn't it be something if Taijuan ends up being? Remember last year I said if Chris Sale could win 10 games for the Braves, they would be really tough, and he ended up winning the Cy Young.
Yeah,
wouldn't it be something if they could get Taijuan Walker and get 10 wins out of him? If so, they're going to be a pretty tough team to beat.
Yeah, and we thought we'd see a great pitching matchup Tuesday night with Zach Wheeler and Chris Sale. Didn't turn out that way. Both guys got hit around a bit. Zach was not on his best game, Tuesday night, and then that play in center field where Rojas let the ball drop in front of him, a little misconnection between he and Sosa in left. That really hurt because then you get the 3-run homer with 2 outs.
I'm going to tell you, Chet, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get the Sosa in left and putting him in to play the Braves series and starting him out there. He made a tremendous catch, one of the best catches you'll ever see. Turned around, and not only did the 3-run score when they didn't catch the ball out there in the outfield, but I'm not sure the 2 singles that led to the runs in Wheeler's last inning that basically gave him the 4th and 5th run weren't plays that a regular left fielder might have had a chance to make. Sosa was indecisive. Balls bounced in front of him, turned into being runs 4 and 5. I'm not sure Wheeler pitched as bad as it might have looked statistically. I don't get if you got to get Sosa in the lineup, get one of them other guys out that is in an infield position that he can play.
Yeah, they're back to the regular lineup tonight. Schwarber leading off, Turner batting second and playing short. No other surprises in the lineup this evening. Let's hope the Phils can, steal this one because they could use it and, keep burying the Braves. Keep them as far away from the top spot as possible.
So let me ask you, we're only 10 games in. Bullpen concern you any at this point? Obviously way early, but you concerned?
Yeah, Jordan Romano has not looked good at all. Velocity down a bit. He used to throw, 98 or whatever. He's only thrown 93, maybe once in a while 94 right now. And he's got a funky delivery, too, sometimes. He looks a little fidgety out on the mound. So hopefully they'll figure out what's going on with him and get him right because, they need him because they don't have a whole lot in that bullpen. We know Alvarado can be inconsistent. Kerkering has been a little bit inconsistent this year. Some of the other guys haven't been in high leverage situations other than Matt Strahm. So, they're going to have to get it figured out with Jordan Romano.
Yeah, I agree. And what do you make of the Turner leading off against right-handers? Is it right? Against left-handers. And Schwarber leading off against right-handers. And basically the lineup flips every lefty-righty. You like that?
It's not a big deal to me, and it shouldn't be a big deal to them either. I don't know how they feel about it. I think Bryce would rather bat third all the time. He has kind of hinted at that. But the funny thing is, Schwarber, who leads off the game when it's against the right-hander, actually hits lefties better. He has the last couple of years. So, go figure. Schwarber's been clearly the best player for the Phils this season. So maybe you want to have him in the leadoff spot the way he is hitting. But I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I as we said, I guess it was last week, baseball players are creatures of habit. And at least they know who's pitching and know where they're going to be in the lineup. But usually, it goes, they like to be comfortable.
Yeah, comfort's a big thing for major leaguers. We know that. One thing that a lot of people seem to have a problem with is Alec Boehm these days, because he's constantly swinging at the first pitch. He doesn't see a lot of pitches. And the other thing is he's still got that little anger management issue, if you will. When he flies out or grounds out or doesn't hit it the way he think he should, he kind of storms off. Sometimes will throw the bat down. I don't have a huge problem with it. It's a big issue though on talk radio in Philly for whatever reason. But to be honest, I'd rather see that kind of emotion than no emotion whatsoever. Like, I don't care.
And I was going to say the same thing. I saw him last night. I guess he struck out his second time up, I believe it was, after he got a hit the first time up. Yeah. And he struck out. There was a guy on base. He was mad. I get it. I wanted to be mad.
Yeah.
I'm not big on throwing equipment and that sort of stuff, but I'd rather him care. And the kid tries. If his biggest fault to me is he tries too hard. He doesn't accept failure very well, and baseball's a game where you have to accept failure. But I'm still not giving up on Alec Boehm. I think he's going to be a good player.
And what you don't want to see is that kind of frustration carry over to his play at third base, because
right.
Then you're really hurting the team. Hey, a couple of big things happening in the next couple of days regarding the Phillies. Ranger Suarez to pitch, I believe, tomorrow, and Andrew Painter on the mound. So, we'll get a look at Andrew Painter again, finally. It's been a while, and maybe we'll get some more insight into what their plans are for Painter later this summer.
Yeah, 2 innings, 35 pitches, I believe, is the limit for Painter on Friday, right? Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that Friday? And Suarez is tomorrow, right?
Yes. So I think the plan is to stretch Suarez out a little bit more and get him back up. Painter, I think this is really the start of the plan. 2 innings, 35 pitches is the cap for him, it looks like.
Yeah, they're going to go real easy, I think, with Andrew Painter. They want to, make sure they don't overwork him between now and, late June or July. And then if all goes well, get him in the rotation for the last couple of months of the season.
Right. I mean, and if you're going to get decent pitching from Taijuan Walker, there's no need to rush him at all.
Yeah.
So that's good. And even with Suarez, I don't know exactly how Suarez fits in if Walker continues to pitch well. They don't really need him in the.
Could you imagine having 7 quality starting pitchers to choose from? That would be nice.
That would be good. And if they can, maybe they get Suarez back in the bullpen. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Anything else? Ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. I'm just going to look through the comments, see if we missed anything.
All right. Well, you can do that while I'm closing it out. How's that?
See what PJ said? Wondering why Bill always leads off the show.
Yeah, it's because I hit left.
It's in his contract.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Let's wrap it up. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Bob Cooney, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim, Chet, Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, April the 16th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Let's go Phillies.